It only takes one spark, one insight, one idea to create the exponential growth you desire. Welcome to the Growth Mode Podcast, where we share the strategies for your growth. Hey, welcome back to the Growth Mode Podcast. If you are committed to growing in 2026, you're going to love this show. We're going to talk about what are the growth opportunities in 2026 from your database, expired listings, AI search, all things Jimmy Mackin's brain. And I even want to play around with the conversation around with everything happening in the news right now, Compass versus Zillow, Zillow versus consumers. And that's really not the way the lawsuit is, but we all know what I'm referring to with RESPA violations and RICO court cases. Now, with all that, can we use that intelligently to be, I don't know, a voice of reason in the marketplace, be a star in the marketplace? So fellas, welcome to the show. Hi, Jason Pantana.
I'm back from sabbatical.
Right, you're back from sabbatical. Welcome. Hey, Jason, welcome to the Growth Mode Podcast.
Hey, it's good to be on. I think I'm the most frequent guest on this podcast.
Yeah. What were we talking about offline? Like it's Jimmy Kimmel, we just go, and Matt Damon. Oh, sorry, we've run out of time.
We just been making up excuses why you're not. The last one, I think I told people you're on paternity leave. That was the last one I told people. So whatever excuse, right? I'm just making up every time here. Well, it's great to see you, Jason. Great to have you back on the pod.
Great to be here, Jimmy. I mean it sincerely. Thank you, Tom. It's a pleasure.
So you guys will appreciate it. I just hung out with my friends over at FNF. They're going to have for me on January 2nd, all of the transactions, buy side and sell side for the entire year in tranches of transactions. Agents that did 1 to 3, 4 to 6, etc. On the buy side and sell side. It's going to be fascinating. That's awesome. We know as we're recording this, we know the first 6 months of this year, the listings sold and closed. Here's how it unfolded in the US for my friends listening. 6% of the agents controlled 60% of the listing sold business. 6% of the agents controlled 60%, and 23% of the agents controlled 40%. What that means is 71% had zero. Now, every time I say this out loud, I always say there's like a little asterisk that says, I recognize that if Jason and Jimmy were a partnership, they both have an individual MLS ID, but they're only going to put the listings under one. So maybe in the US with like 1.4 and change now active real estate agents with NAR, maybe there's 100,000, give or take, that are husband and wife, small teams, large teams, etc. But it is a startling number. And if you asked me what I think is going to happen in 2026, I think the numbers are going to remain the same. That is going to be on the listing side of the business, the haves and the have-nots. On the buy side of the business, right? It's going to be convenience. And I don't say this to be disrespectful for the person watching. If you're like, oh my God, I'm heavy buy side. If you're like heavy buy side and you get a ton of referrals and like awesome. But if you actually look at the data, most consumers just say, I just want to see the house. Right? So they'll work with just about anybody to see the house. And how I know this to be true, not to be named, one of my clients, Jason, you'll love this as a coach. From January until the end of August, we did an analysis for everybody listening. Pay attention. We did an analysis of how many people signed a single party show agreement, went out, looked at some houses with that agent for that day, and we didn't sell them a house. Then we took it one step further and we looked at, of those consumers, what percentage bought a house without us? It was 518 consumers that bought a house from someone else after signing a single party show agreement, not a buyer brokerage agreement, a single party show agreement, for the day, and then bought a home from somebody else, which is why I think the numbers would be far different on the buy side. But just a little fun thought for my friend listening. Do you track that number? I would put that in the comments. Do you track the numbers like what percentage of the buyers that you take out sign a buyer brokerage agreement that buy from you, that sign a single party show agreement that ultimately convert from you? I'm just curious. I'd love to see your comments. But Jason, I'm going to come to you first.
Yeah.
And then Jimmy, we'll all just kind of hash around this. 2026, based upon the National Association of Realtors, all the data points we're reading, it looks like between new construction and resale, that we're going to go to, I'll give you the exact number here because I've got it in my stats. Hold on here. The estimation, so the forecast for the US 2025 consensus forecast as we film this on November 24th, happy early Thanksgiving. The consensus forecast is 4,817,103 transactions, homes sold times 2 buy side, sell side. And we know it's like, call it 800,000 new construction. The number that they're forecasting, the consensus forecast for 2026 is plus 430,000. Call it 5,257,929 homes sold. Again, new construction and resale. So it's not a bomber year, but it is a recovery year.
Yep.
That's all we can ask for in 2026 with interest rates still in the sixes, wary of inflation, the job market, AI is going to kill everyone. So I'm curious for the two of you, where do you think are the biggest opportunities for growth in 2026, Jason?
Okay. So I believe it's AI answers. And when I talk about growth, I'm looking at growth through the lens of how do we generate more leads for your business? Any kind of a healthy business needs to have a steady influx of people who are coming to them to potentially buy and sell houses. How can you generate leads without incurring a high cost? And to get to achieving that, I would say AI answers. AI answers means we know, we've talked about it on this podcast so many times.
Yes.
Buyers and sellers are turning to ChatGPT, Google's AI overview. They're asking Grok, they're asking Perplexity, they're asking it for anything they want to know. They're doing all their research. It's ask versus search. We have talked about this ad nauseum. There was a piece of research.
Can I give you the stat? You might be looking at the same research.
Yeah.
Surveys from multiple real estate platforms indicate approximately 82% of Americans now use an AI tool such as ChatGPT, Gemini.
And their search. Yeah.
Right. They're on search. And it's 80. I did the research. It's 80% in Canada, 82% in the US, 80% in Canada. That is an overwhelming number. So
Yeah.
So what do I have to do? What's the growth opportunity?
Yeah. So you're referring to the Realtor.com study, which is absolutely true. Actually, so this is the most fascinating part to me, though. Neil Patel, who I think is one of the best SEO guys out there, he did additional research on specifically being a cited source in AI searches. So let's just pretend that you're a prospective seller and you're looking to sell your house in Boston or something to that effect. And I go to my AI of choice. I go to ChatGPT, I stick in Google and I get their AI overview, whatever. And then I do my search and then AI answers my question and it provides what's called a citation. You got to know what the word citation is. That's the new ranking in Google. That's the new ranking in search term. It's being a cited source, kind of like when your teacher would say, cite your sources in that book report you were doing. And so Neil's team, the research they did was, does being cited in an AI source matter? Or are you literally just giving your answers to AI that it then passes on to the consumer and leaves you out of it? Are they cutting you out of the deal, basically?
Yeah.
And here's what his team realized or learned in their research, that if you are addressing top of funnel or middle of funnel intent questions, if you're trying to answer, should I do this or should I do that, or when should I do this or when should I do that, kinds of questions that your buyers or sellers might be asking that are considered top or middle of funnel, it is not really worth your time and attention. They're going to read the AI answer and they're not going to click on the citation. But what Neil's team realized is if you can go after the bottom of funnel intent, what is the question that's between that consumer taking action? Hey, once I answer this question, my next move is action. What will happen is they will click on your citation and they will convert. His research says the conversion rate on this, or the click-through rate, is 10 to 23 times greater on bottom of funnel intent citations than regular search. So like go back a year ago, and this is what blows my mind. Go back just a year ago when people weren't widely adopting AI search like they are today. I could have asked the bottom of funnel intent question last year and maybe you ranked on the first page of Google and maybe I clicked your web page. But what Neil's research says now is if you get cited as a source in any kind of an AI search, overviews with Google, Perplexity, ChatGPT, and it's a bottom of funnel intent question, the likelihood that someone's going to click through on your source is 10 to 23 times greater. And then the likelihood they're going to reach out to you directly and convert on your webpage is significantly greater still. His data, I don't have it in front of me, but it was like, it was an amazing piece of research. He did it by business to consumer versus business to business industries. So he did both. Business to business was even better than business to consumer. But
For
in
sure.
real estate, you're dealing with trying to find buyers and sellers who are consumers. And what he found was like you could get a fraction of the web traffic and generate nearly as much in sales volume just off of being cited a few times because the concentration of it is so much greater. So if you want to grow, you got to answer the questions that buyers and sellers are wrestling with in your local marketplace at the moment they're ready to take action. The best way to do that is to write blogs that answer those questions. And I'll open it up for you guys to chime in and comment, but it's blogging for AI answers.
Jimmy, you got a thought? Because I have two questions I think that every person that's listening to this is probably going to ask.
Well, why don't you give your thoughts and I'll give you my answer to the first question.
Okay. So Jason, fun fact, I'm doing a mastermind in
Yeah.
Dallas, and one of our clients, Mo, says basically, I heard Jason talk about this at the summit. So this is October,
Yeah.
summit was in August. And
Yeah.
he said, I knew if I was coming to this crazy mastermind with Tom Ferry, he was going to talk about AI and I should probably do this. So as kind of the story goes, he's like, I sat home one night on a Friday and started having some wine, and I uploaded 500 unedited blogs to my website in one evening.
Okay.
And I'm like, and what happened? He goes, well, search for who's the best agent in my city. And there he was. So first of all, do I recommend that to people for the person listening right now? No, like, like,
No.
hey, should you hire a real estate agent who's a serial killer? And well, as a matter of fact, it's Jason Pantana. And like, you know what I mean? So,
Wait, and okay.
right. I'm always one that says, and read and edit the blog.
Yeah, totally.
But I think so here's my three questions. You ready?
Yeah.
One, how do I get consistent or let's just call it the best attribution for this? So attribution is my first question. Second one is time frame to see results. And third, knowing what you know now, how many of these blogs could I post on a daily basis?
All right. So let's talk about attribution first. So when you say attribution, do you mean how do I get attributed as the cited source? Is that what you mean?
No, I mean, hi, I'd like to buy a house from you. Hi, we want
Oh,
to sell
yeah.
our home. How did you hear about us? Right?
Yes.
It's like early dating apps. I don't know how many people
Yeah.
actually want to say, well, we met on match.com. No, they like, oh, I was on ChatGPT. I don't know how many people are saying that, but we need attribution. Otherwise,
We do.
we won't know if we actually got a transaction from this.
It's funny you bring that up. So I was talking to one of our great coaching clients, Felicia Lewis, recently. So Felicia, shout out to Felicia. She's in Carmel Valley, outside San Diego. She has generated and sold 7 million in volume listings taken and sold in the past 2 months, all attributed, whatever the word is, to AI search. All of it.
Love
And
it.
so we were having this conversation. She's like, you just have to ask. And so Tom, I think when you're talking about how do I measure attribution, part of it's going to be they're just going to show up. They're going to find the number on your website and they're going to dial your phone number. They're going to call you. And it's going to feel a lot like what maybe was comparable to when they found you through your Google business profile.
I would even go old school and say sign calls.
Yeah. Yeah. You're going to have to ask.
Calls, hey, a friend told me about you.
Yeah,
And
hey,
now
help
the
me
new
understand.
friend is
How did you find us? I think that's the way you have to go after it. Yeah. And then I think there are some tools that you can use tools like CallRail. Jimmy's sending me text messages now.
Yeah.
Like that's a good tool to use that has some attribution with phone number calls. You can link it. So those are some opportunities for you.
Is CallRail a Jimmy Mackin company that I don't know about?
We'll drop the affiliate code in the
He's
chat.
literally
right now,
dropping
guys.
me cheats in my screen's like CallRail. I'm like,
CallRail. All
perfect.
right, so CallRail will give us that attribution.
It depends on how they get to you. So like at a certain, I mean, you can Jimmy, correct me if I'm wrong on this. CallRail can give you a lot of different numbers that you can
Yeah.
use in different places around the web. So like you could have a billboard that's got a number that's dedicated. And so if you get a phone call from that number, you know it came from the billboard.
That's exactly right. So the way you would use it is, let's say you're producing lots of content that you specifically want to rank within AI. You might have a dedicated AI phone number that can allow you to attribute any deals coming from that phone number to your efforts in AI. So
You
if
can.
yeah, so if you really wanted to
Okay.
if you really wanted to put muscle behind it, but you wanted to make sure there's a really good ROI, you might consider just as an option. It's more like horseshoes than it is like, playing darts here.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
you could give yourself a dedicated AI email and a dedicated AI phone number that you can just funnel all the performance that way. That's one option that's pretty
I'm just
lowbrow.
I'm thinking it through out loud. The only challenge I would foresee is so let me zoom back a step. We're talking about providing AI answers. What are AI
Yep.
answers? You're going to blog the answers to the questions that stand between a buyer or a seller in your local marketplace taking action. We know the ways that consumers in your local market are using AI search are they're asking questions about the process. They're asking questions about who's the best agent in Carmel Valley, San Diego, kind of a thing, right? So those are actually
Mhm.
two different intents in
Yeah.
terms of questions. And for the one, like a lot of members of AI Marketing Academy, a lot of our coaching clients, you're hearing about it at masterminds. They're saying, like, hey, I keep getting people who found me on ChatGPT or on
Yeah.
Perplexity. And right now they're having to ask, how did you find me? And they're hearing it through the grapevine that
Mhm.
way. One of the challenges you're going to run into is a lot of your strategy for ranking in those searches is your profiles on different websites like Fast
Yeah.
Expert, like Rake My
Yeah.
Agent, and others. And one of the factors on those profiles is they want your NAP to be consistent, name,
Hmm.
address, phone number. And
Yeah.
so if you're going to have a consistent number across the web, you do have to be careful. I'm just literally thinking this through out loud, Jimmy. Like you have to be
Yeah.
careful you don't create um, a weak spot in your own SEO
Sure.
strategy with
Yeah.
having
Yeah.
different information. But you do have some options. I think horseshoes is a great metaphor. I think call rail is a good way to play some horseshoes. I think you should be asking when people reach out to you, hey, help me understand how did you come to reach out to me right now? And just
Hmm.
asking and then being
Yeah.
prepared to kind of pull that thread and see they said it was AI.
Okay, here's my two other questions. So time frame to see results, and I'm combining it with I used to say 3 blogs a day. Now I'm like, hey, how many does ESPN post? How many does CNN post? How many does
Right.
the New York Post post? The New York Times post? So how soon should I see results? And how many things should I be posting per day on my website, on my
Yeah.
Google business page versus putting out in social or emailing to my database?
All right, so let's break that into two questions. And then, Jimmy, I promise once we're at the 45-minute mark, you can talk. We'll get to your answer. Um,
Thanks, Matt Damon.
yeah, Matt Damon's here today. It's Matt Damon's episode. So, as far as how many are concerned, you start getting into some weird indexing rules where, like ESPN or news platforms have different rules of indexation with Google in terms of Google prioritizing them. And that does get a little bit splitting hairs. I
Mhm.
honestly don't think you have to blog more than once a day. I think you could. I don't think you have to. I think you can make a decision to blog once a week if it's the right question you're going after. To me,
Yeah.
this is more of a quality than quantity. And it's going after what are the questions that I believe right now in today's market, buyers and sellers are asking that stand between them and taking action, which leads to the answer of how soon to see impact. Could be the day of, could be the
Yeah.
next day. I mean, if you can be like in the moment, meet them where they are with what they're searching in AI and your
Yeah.
blog answers it, boom. I was doing an interview this morning and we were talking about AI search. And we were talking about what are the websites that routinely rank again and again and again as cited sources when somebody searches who's the best agent in Boston, Massachusetts, or something like that in their ChatGPT. And we were saying, there's only two kinds of websites that AI really tends to favor again and again and again. And we've talked about this on the show before. We're like, it's Fast Expert, it's Zillow, it's Redfin, it's
Rate,
these.
rate my agent,
Yeah,
Reddit,
and we've got
Reddit.
this $10 hyphenated word called structured data. We know that AI really loves websites that offer what's called structured data. What is structured data? It means it's a list. Rate My Agent or Real Trends already went to the trouble of ranking agents. And so AI is like, I'm going to cheat off their test. And so it
Bingo.
goes and grabs that because the data is already in a list. That's the first kind of website or source that AI will go for. The second one is the one that answers the question verbatim. So, like, for example, Trey Willard, shout out to Trey down in Baton Rouge. I've used this in a few presentations where you ask ChatGPT who's the best agent in Baton Rouge or whatever, and he'll rank a whole bunch in the ChatGPT results, and it will oftentimes cite this one blog he wrote that answers. The title is "Who's the Best Realtor in Baton Rouge?" And so AI is looking to make it easy. It looks for who's already got the list that I can just steal, and then it looks for who's already answered the verbatim question. And so, in terms of getting immediacy of impact, answer the question that people are asking right now, and you could have leads today. when you publish the blog. You could have leads tomorrow. You could have leads every day thereafter. It becomes a flywheel. So to me, it's really a challenge of quality over quantity. But I will say, Tom, to your point, if you get in the habit of posting regularly, you will, for example, train search platforms. Like you still need Google and Bing and all those platforms because where the heck do you think ChatGPT is getting a lot of their info from? They're having to go through a search engine to get your website. And
Right.
when you're publishing regular blogs, like daily or every other day or something like that, you are training these search engines to favor indexing your new web pages. If you never publish anything, they're not going to prioritize sending the Google bot to your website to go figure out you published a new post. I should add it to the index. So
Mhm.
the regularity of it has a lot to do with just getting preferential treatment for getting indexed. Did I those too big of words? Does it make sense?
Yeah, no, that's great. All right, you can leave now. All right,
All
Jimmy.
right, Matt Damon out.
Jimmy, I forgot the question we started with. No. What are the best
What's
what are the best growth opportunities in I mean, is it the multi-billion dollar or billion dollar expired listing jump ball? Is it going deeper with my database? Is it magic buyer letters? If I want more listings, if I want more sales, what are the best opportunities in 2026?
I think a lot of Chipotle, they have on their website, they have a list of all the ingredients they have. And
Mhm.
in total, they have 53 ingredients that make up basically the bulk of their entire menu. Now, in comparison, like if you go to the Cheesecake Factory, forget about how many things they have in the menu. A single piece of cheesecake, I looked this up recently. A single piece of cheesecake has 70 ingredients. Just one cheesecake, 70 unique ingredients. So I think right now, when I think about your question about what can an agent be doing right now to be successful in 2026, I think there's two things. Number one, I think we have to brand this year as the year of production and profit, which is this idea of like, how do I increase my production while also increasing my profit? And you mentioned some of the earlier stats. We are going to see a good sort of solid jump in the number of transactions. That's great. Tom, there are way too many agents who are listening to this podcast right now who spent the last 3 years trying to drive up production because they thought it was going to help them make more money. And it didn't. They just spent more money. They just invested more money. They just wasted more money to kind of get to some type of arbitrary number that they thought would achieve their kind of profitability goals. So the thing I keep thinking about, because I've been thinking a lot about this, like what can we do in 26 to make 26 a year where it's production and profit? Uh, the where I keep coming back to, Tom, is this idea of no wasted opportunities.
mm,
Okay. So what does that
Mhm.
mean? It means that how do I take everything I get and turn it into something more? So
Mhm.
every buyer I'm working with, how do I turn that buyer into more listings, more leads? Every seller, how do I turn that into more buyers and more listings? Every client, how do I turn that into more referrals and more reviews? So my answer is like looking internally at your business and saying, how do I extract every bit of value out of the things that already exist before I go out there to try to maybe add some new stuff is where my mind immediately goes.
So I agree, and I love the metaphor. If I want to make more profit, I need to have a lower CAC.
Mm-hmm.
I need to, I'm just talking out loud here, just stream of consciousness. Lower my CAC, so lower my cost to acquire a client.
Yep.
Have less referral fees, as an example, um, or get greater results from the marketing that I'm sending.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Never being satisfied with I sent an email out and I got one opportunity, but how do I get five? How do I
Yeah.
get 10 as an example? So if you had to pick, I'll give you one of the things I've been sharing at Listing Edge, and it goes right back to Jason, amongst our coaching clients. If you look at sort of the core concentration of lead pillars today, no shocker, number one is their database, right?
Mm-hmm.
Email, social, mail, events, text, geographic and or targeted direct mail campaigns, right?
absolutely.
Number two. Number three, any form of what you would call online advertising. I would call it just arbitrage, right? Whether that's Google, Realtor, Zillow, Homelight, Navy Fed, right on down the line. Again, higher cost to acquire a client, but can be more steady in terms of the flow. Um, Open houses are all the rage. Zero cost. Zero cost. And the game now, I think, is for my friend listening, is how do you do way more of them? How do you do way more, and how do you drive way more traffic? So at one of my clients, shout out to the Bigs team, they average, guys, like 120 open houses a month.
That's
Now,
insane.
now they have a lot of listings and they have a lot of people on their team, but what they know is if you look out on the streets and everywhere you see in Hoboken, Weehawken, Jersey City, you see Jill Biggs Group, like that's good for branding. And even though our net attribution to open houses is only a 1% conversion, we're asking ourselves, like, how do we go from 1 to 5? How do we go from 1 to 3? Because the cost to acquire a client is zero, right? So open houses, everybody's hell bent on the silver tsunami, the baby boomers and the silent gen. But I think all of us as friends can say that one's going to take a little time. And what you're hoping is you get them before probate. You with me? And then the last one, shout out to you, Jason, is AI search. Like those. Now, I'm not saying expireds aren't on there. I'm not saying they're, agent referrals. Our clients have a tendency to have 8, 9, 10 different ways that they generate clients. But if I said to you, there's the list, database, geographic farm, or targeted direct mail campaigns, magic buyer letters and others, online advertising, open houses, how do I optimize it? Silver tsunami, how do I, by the way, Jimmy, you'll appreciate now when I do Listing Edge, I say, Jimmy came up with this great formula. It's called, if you've ever said, fill in the blank with a problem, it might be time to downsize. At the last one, I think they had like 18 in Philadelphia where they're like, oh, I got another one, right? And then I got another one. Like, oh, this is great. So Silver Tsunami and AI search. We got AI search covered. Where do you think an agent should be thinking about, talking to themselves, creating some marketing strategies around optimizing those other 5?
Well, Jason, I'll kick things off and I'll pass it to you on this one. I think the database, let's talk about database for a hot second. Because we have worship at the altar of automation for the last 15 years in real estate marketing, that we have stripped away any of the real potential value we can get from the people in our databases, because not all databases are created equal. I mean, we got one agent who's got 1,000 people who treats that thing like gold and produces a ton of profit from it. And we got others who have databases of 70,000 people and can't get a damn person to reply to it.
Right.
And so I think right now this idea of database quality matters. And so I'll give you an example of this. If I were to reach out, like if I want to say, listen, 26, I got to revamp my entire database strategy so I can get more people replying, more people answering my questions, more phone calls, more appointments. I saw a great framework recently online, and I'll remember the guy's name and we'll share in the show notes. But he says, if you're going to reach out to somebody, there's only 3 things you have to do, which is number 1, bring them something new. And I love that frame, right? Bring them something. What is new? Like I'm checking in, I'm circling back, I'm just following up. That's not new. Bring them something new. Number 2, keep it brief. Whoever read a long one and said, man, that was nice. I mean, like keep it brief, get to the point.
Yeah.
And finally, number 3, this is a hat tip to Jeremy Miner, who we all follow and admire the work he's been doing, is keep your status high. And the way you end it, and this was a good lesson for me. The way you end the email or the text is not, hey, I'm looking forward to hearing from you, Tom, ! Because that lowers your status in the mind of the consumer. Instead, he suggested, it's a great suggestion. He said, when I came across this, I thought you'd appreciate it. So I wanted to share it.
Yeah.
And so it's a way to maintain some reciprocity, but maintain your status. So I'd say the first thing I would focus on before I pass the mic to Jason is like, can we look at our database follow-up strategy and say, can we just make this thing 10x better than what we've been doing in the past before we go out and start spending more money, buying more leads, arbitraging? Can we just get really good at this thing to enable the other things?
Jason, I have a monthly and quarterly plan, but I want you to go first, and I'll share my monthly and quarterly plan that I would recommend everybody.
Go ahead and do it. It's relevant because I don't want to switch gears. Go ahead. Okay. You should share that now.
So the monthly plan, right? If I was your coach, I would say, hey, we need a minimum of 1 mailer a month to your entire database. 1 mailer a month. I would prefer that probably every other piece has a CTA, has a QR code, something like, did you hear about your neighbor? Or guess what the forecast is for 2026, right? They hit the QR code, they go to a landing page that's already on your website, a blog where you're sharing the information. So like every other month, but I don't want to do it every month, right? Once a quarter, I need to send a market update, but it's going to be a mailer, an email, and inside the email, there's a video of you doing the quarterly update. 3 emails a week with 1 CTA a month, 3 emails a week, 1 CTA a month, daily social posts across all platforms that you can do. And then here's where it gets interesting. You ready? I want 2 CMAs a year to your entire database that you follow up with a phone call. 2 CMAs a year to your entire database. And everybody asks me, mail or email? And I say, mail. Direct mail. Direct mail. I want to see it on their coffee table. You with me? You can pick your price point of who you're going to send this to, but I think everybody in the database deserves it. And I go back to a cited thing from the Wave group from 2024 that said 88% of consumers would like to know from their agent how much their home is worth, but only 17% actually receive it. So of course they go off to a landing page or off to another website to figure it out. And number 6 on my monthly is 554, 4 days a week. So 5 past client calls, text, DM, right? Doesn't make a difference. 5 of those, 5 new conversations, 4 follow-up every day. So that's kind of on the marketing side. On the other side, I have quarterly. I want 1 event per quarter. I believe, my friends, one of the most important trends that will happen in 2026, 2027, 2028, as AI takes over and robots become normal and everything in the world sort of becomes done for you, what I'm going to want is human connection.
Yep.
I'm going to want to hold my, my young son's hand, walk my dog, go see my buddies, hang out at whatever Starbucks. I'm going to want that interaction. So I said, literally, I'm making this up. Annual Santa photo with your clients. How am I living in Phoenix? Who cares? Santa comes there also. Springtime dog park event, right? Because I like dogs. Summer barbecue, fall classic baseball game, or poker party. I don't care. But 4 times a year, you invite everybody in. And the goal is, from all these activities, that I'm going to have 10% conversion on my database to either a direct transaction and or a referral. My plus on my face-to-face side is I want 3 to 5 coffee meetings a week. If you just went to your local Starbucks or wherever, if you're listening in Canada, Tim Hortons, right? If you're in Boston, you can go to Dunkin' Donuts, right? Doesn't matter where you go, right? Like,
listen, you ain't getting referrals at Dunkin' Donuts, Tom. I'm sorry.
I'd go to Pete's Coffee in Corona Del Mar, I'd go to Persephone in Jackson Hole. And the reason why is I want to meet with a client every day inside this place because those places get more traffic than your website and your open houses combined. So if you were just there talking shop, talking real estate, talking about what's going on, what's happening in the market, eventually people are just going to walk up and go, hey man, can you talk to me about this, what we're thinking about, yada, yada, yada. So that's my marketing plan. And then my events plan with my coffee meetings plan. Jason, what did I miss?
Well, so first, you didn't miss anything. That I hope everybody listening is like, oh my gosh, I should rewind this and go watch that again to make sure I'm implementing it. Because if you just did that plan, I want you to future pace yourself 12 months out. What would happen to your business if you made that your focus? I think so many folks are driven by the fear of I need more leads. Jimmy, you brought up some really good points earlier. We spend too much money to try to get where we want to get with production. What if you could be more lean? And I kept hearing the efficiency gains term in my head. How can you identify efficiency gains in the way you're doing your marketing where you can get more of the stuff that's working and less of the stuff that isn't working? I wrote down a few notes, and the way you both described working a database, high value, it reminded me of somebody who wants to gain followers on Instagram. Years ago, people were like, how do you get more followers on Instagram? And they would use tricks and trends and try to get more followers, follow for the follow back, and cheap little things that really didn't have any stickiness involved. There's only one way to get more followers on Instagram. You have to add value that's worth following again. And it's not one lucky post. It's again and again and again and again. And then eventually people are like, I want more of this. And they start to subscribe to it. I think working your database has to be the same. Jimmy, you shared an Instagram post the other day. It was an AI generated whiteboard. It was brilliant.
Yeah.
With they should go look you up on Instagram. Jimmy Mackin on Instagram, and they should look at your post. Yeah, Tom's
Yep.
holding it up if you're watching right
Yep.
now. And
Yeah, I
was it
was a, I
12?
was a, I was a co on that.
Oh yeah, yeah, he was the collab on that. That's
It
right.
was the collab.
He was,
Yes.
that's right. How could I have forgotten?
I'm just messing with you.
Where was Matt Damon? Where was I?
He's blocked me.
Oh, has he? Jimmy, you shared some really great language patterns.
Yeah.
I believe that could massively influence the way people are reaching out. So when you're having those 554 conversations, coming from a position of adding value, coming from a position of strength and confidence, there's some great stuff there. I think it could massively change it. I was thinking about how can AI help you with this. I believe there is certainly a level of personalization in the way you communicate to your database. I think you should be looking for any kind of AI that can give you more personalization power in the way you communicate with your past clients, with your sphere, with your buyers and sellers. That's a massive win for your business because it is in that personalization and scale that people are going to be like, that is a talkable difference.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about like maybe like an Erica Wolf or somebody like that who has just really, really ironclad transaction to close emails and videos and FAQs and just continuous outreach that makes a personalized difference in the way she's communicating with people. Looking for those kinds of ideas, I think it goes a long way. So nothing really to add, guys. It's just
Nice shout out to the wolf of real estate,
That's
Erica
right.
Wolf. What's going on, girl?
That's right. Oh, hey Jimmy, I do think you use this line a lot. I think it was, I don't know if it was Jimmy Burgess or who had it. I'd be a bad realtor if.
Yeah.
The
That's our
more
guy.
often, it's a
Guys,
great line.
I have the CMA a day script,
Yep.
Jimmy. I modified it. Ready? I'm literally looking at it right now in my notes. Hey, I'd be the worst real estate agent on the planet if I didn't ask you. For everybody listening, just listen. Actually, let me tell the story first. Ladies and gentlemen, listening to this podcast, however you're consuming this content, I've married my wife 3 times. I love her. I love her a lot. When she says to me, "Do you want to go shopping with me? Because I need a black dress for a function," I don't love her anymore. Because here's what happens. We walk into the store and I already know I'm just going to be behind her and a cute or handsome salesperson is going to see my wife and be like, "That's a sale." And they're going to walk over to her. And the second they do, they all say the same thing. "Hi, can I help you?" And my wife says 1000% of the time, "No, I'm just looking." My wife is an honest person, but in that moment, she is lying because she just said to me, "I need a black dress for this function on Thursday and it's Wednesday. So we have to buy the black dress. This is the only chance." So she's not a liar, but it's the smoke screen, right? She smoke screens her. "No, I'm just looking." And in my mind, I want to scream and say, "No, this person probably knows every black dress that is available in your size inside the store. She could save us a ton of time, but no, my wife is just looking." So I say, could you imagine? Could you imagine if she said something different there? Could you imagine if she just, when my wife said, "No, I'm just looking," she just looked her right in the eyes and said, "Really? Really? Really? You're walking in at 4 o'clock at a fast pace because you're just looking?" Like your husband is with you? Your husband is with you? Really? And this is why I tell the story, because everyone can relate to this, husbands and wives and others, right? I think you should say this. After I do the CMA script, I'm going to say, "Jason, I'd be the worst real estate agent on the planet if I didn't ask you, have you had any thoughts of selling your home?" And when they say no, you're going to look them right in the eye or over the phone. You're going to go, "Really? Really? You've had no thoughts of selling?" And you know what I know to be true? I know this from Timmy Smith. It's a combination of Timmy Smith and Jimmy Burgess. Every time people go, "Well, I mean, we would, but the rates are too expensive. We would, but we're not sure where to go. We would, but we..."
Right.
And you got to get through the smoke screen. No. So I didn't mean to interrupt there, fellas.
No,
But
you added, your story was way better.
it's been so effective for people. Just really, really, like really, you've had no thoughts of, like, if somebody, you got a letter in the mail that says, "My buyer would pay the highest possible price." You didn't have any thoughts of selling. They're like, "Yeah, we did."
I would almost like the equivalent, this is just in my head. I would almost create for yourself like a swear jar this year, only instead of putting $1 in when you swear, you put $1 in every time you say, "I'd be a bad realtor if," because that's like
Yes.
your money pot. You should use that as a litmus test to, am I effectively having good outreach with my people? And you have some kind of a scoreboard that shows you like that one line right there is almost the proof in the pudding that you had a real estate conversation.
Bingo. Bingo. Shout out to Jimmy Burgess.
Yeah, Jimmy Burgess. We all love
He's
him.
back at Berkshire Hathaway. Okay, let's transition, being mindful of time. Fellas, I just am about to put out a piece of content on Compass versus Zillow, specifically what just happened last week. 3 days, they were all in New York and they were all fighting for their argument on, on Compass's side. Hey, consumers deserve choice. They should be able to have pocket listings. We should be able to market listings and not be fined by Zillow or by the MLS, or worse, being blackballed from either one of them, which just hurts them and consumers. And Zillow had an argument that, from what I read, it was just hard for them to make the argument. Like, I get, hey, consumers should be able to see everything. I get that, but they didn't really express it that way. First of all, any opinions on this, fellas? Or how would you use what happened last week as we're filming this in communication to your database, just to keep them informed on what's going on, and maybe even ask a question like, what do you think?
Well, Jimmy, you first.
Yeah, I think I saw Robert Efkin posted this on Instagram recently. Tom, you know which one I'm referring to, right? Where he did the kind of the screenshot,
black and white one. I shared it. I shared it.
And just so everyone has context on that, what was in that post? It was like a highlight of some of their internal documents about how they treat agents or how they think of agents.
Yes. He was highlighting. You can see here, my friends, if you're watching on the pod, he was just highlighting, and he's recently sent me some more of these kinds of things, right? That we would sue or support a lawsuit against an agent or brokerage for violation of their fiduciary duty to. This drives me insane. This is like if I wanted to sell my car, they're saying I have to sell it on Carvana, or I'm no longer able to sell cars.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like, feels like there's no consumer choice in this. I understand both sides.
Sure.
I understand both sides, but I think at the end of the day, it's not about these two companies. It's about what's best for the consumer. That's just my 2 cents.
What's interesting about this, and there's a really important lesson here, because whether you side with Robert and Compass and what he's trying to do, or you side with Zillow and what they're trying to do, what's interesting is there's a great old adage here in marketing, which is it pays to pick an enemy. And what Robert has done is he has elevated Compass into a much larger conversation with much more awareness than anything he could possibly have done, other than basically saying, like, it's us versus them. And I think in marketing, there's so many classic examples of this. Of course, Apple versus Microsoft. You would things like, or even Apple versus IBM. You look at things like, even in my refrigerator right now, I have oat milk. And there's a brand called Oatly. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with this. Yep. Oatly has picked a fight with milk, with the like that's. So they're just like that. Every ad they run is like they're anti, big milk. And you can understand their point of view, you understand their positioning, you understand their vision and what they see. So I think the lesson, like, obviously from the consumer side, I'm not an expert in whether or not this is good or bad for the consumer. I don't think anyone can argue that restricting choice for consumer is ever a good thing. That just seems completely insane to the average person, to the layman, I should say. But I will say, like, Robert has done a really good job of picking an enemy. And I would ask, is there an enemy you can pick in your marketing? Maybe it's mediocrity. Maybe it's like being, not delivering great service. But like, can you pick an enemy in your business that you can rally against? Because guess what? People will begin to sort of pay a lot more attention to what you're doing when they can build that association.
Yeah. Be careful picking an enemy if you're a real estate agent against another real estate agent in your board.
Yeah, that's a bad idea. Yeah, like just to be clear, like,
please don't do that.
I'm going against Ned.
Yeah. Well, yes, it's just
But we know what you mean, right?
Thank you for clarifying. Picking an enemy means like picking you're against a concept or a practice, or not an individual. Great call out.
I want to be interesting though, and Jason, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong. Could I make the enemy listing with an agent who's not from your city?
Unpack a little bit if you wouldn't mind.
So how many times every agent will say, I'm in my geographic farm. I have all of our great clients. I'm at 22% market share, 33% market share. And then I go, who's the next best agent? They go, this one had one, this one had one, this one had one, this one had one. I don't even know who they are. I don't know where they're from. I don't even know if they're an agent in my state. You with me? Like that, that's what I mean. So can you do that and not get in trouble?
I don't know if you can do that. I wish I had the definitive
I don't think you can.
I have some red flags going off on that one.
Yeah, I don't think we can. All right, cancel that thought, but don't edit the show.
Okay.
0 points for Tom Ferry.
So I want to go after the question for, so first, what
Yeah.
do I think
What would
about
you
it?
do? Compass and Zillow.
Two,
Yeah.
where are the opportunities in this? Um, like Jimmy, I'm not going to give a super definitive point of view about who's right or wrong. I'll simply share a story. When I was a brand new agent back in the day when I sold real estate, my team leader was training me, and he trained me on a question to ask at every listing appointment was to say to the seller, help me understand what's most important to you, and
Yeah.
then zip your lips. I think we should be careful to assume we know what's most important to every seller. It's easy to make the assumption that what's most important is they want to sell their home for as much as possible, as quick as possible.
Hmm.
But I think that's not really our decision. That's ultimately up to them to decide where the value is. And so I think we could easily say that some sellers value a sense of privacy and confidentiality, or they don't want the whole public market. And I could just as easily make a defense and say, wait a minute, this is supply and demand economics. You can increase price by having greater demand. I can only achieve greater demand if every buyer knows your property's for sale. I've had agents put this in a postcard. It's only a seller's market if every prospective buyer in the market knows your home is for sale.
Yep.
And
Mhm.
so I can easily take the defense of either side.
Of
But I
course.
think my official admission in this is it's not up to me. It's not my house. I'm not the one selling it. I'm not the one buying it, and nor is any agent presumably in this conversation. So, as I don't have I have strong opinions, but they don't really matter, is what I mean to say.
I love
Well,
that. I actually
Yeah.
love that. Yeah.
Yeah.
well, just real quick before I forget, guys, I forgot I was actually texting with Lourdes about this, Tom. Lourdes is a Compass agent. So the question is, if I'm an agent who's doing this, how do I leverage this? She sent out a postcard. It's like a mailer to her area.
I want to know.
She sent it out to 4,700 houses uh, and doors. She has generated 11 leads. And for context, Laura's average price point, Tom, is what? Like,
Million two to probably five. She's raising her price point, so I'm thinking of old million two.
yeah.
Fort Lauderdale until you get to the water.
So 11 conversations. She's already signed a $3.1 million listing
go.
from this campaign. She said it was the quickest 25-minute conversation to a listing I've ever had. And so in the postcard, she basically says, this is the headline of the postcard. We'll share it hopefully with her permission afterwards, which is test the market, keep your privacy, stay in control. And then basically list out like, hey, you can test the market with our new strategy. That's one hell of a campaign to say to someone on the luxury side, hey, test the market. Because who doesn't want a test drive? Who doesn't want a free trial? Who doesn't want a sample? Right. And so I think to answer your question directly around the positioning of this, if you're an agent, well, if you're on the Compass side, I think Lourdes has laid the groundwork for this. Like positioning it as privacy, as control, and as testing is a very good way. 11 conversations, $3.15 million listing on the back of it.
Yeah.
Now, if I were to take the other side of the argument from a marketing perspective, let's say I'm not a Compass agent and I am obliged to have to get my listing everywhere. Again, I would just flip the script. I would basically have, okay, let's just play devil's advocate here for a second, okay, guys. Jason, how much traffic, can we plug this into AI, Jason? Which is like, how much traffic
Yeah, I'll scribe.
does Compass get versus Zillow? Like, what's the number? Is it like
One to 1,000 is my guess. On
one to 1,000? So I think if I was on the other side where I was being forced to, I would show the
or you were competing with somebody who said we're thinking about doing this because we're with that company versus
exactly. Yeah.
Yep.
So the headline of my postcard, which is why you should never list your house without putting it on Zillow.
Yeah.
Like again, if I'm competing and it's full contact capitalism here, and I have to take your biggest strength and turn it into a weakness, that would be maybe the headline and postcard. And I would open up the postcard basically saying compass.com gets, 1 million page views a month, whereas Zillow gets 1 million page views every 36 minutes.
Yeah.
We believe the best way to get the most for your house is to get the most amount of exposure, blah, blah, blah. So my point is the beauty of marketing is this, is you can take every strength and turn it into a weakness and every weakness and turn it into a strength.
Bingo.
And I think at the end of the day, marketing is about attracting your ideal customer. And so to that point, you're not going to sing everybody's favorite song, but the people who like it are going to come to the show.
Mm-hmm.
And so I honestly, I agree. I could reasonably defend either side of it, which is why I'm really happy I'm not in the proceedings. I don't want to be. I'm sure lots of people watching, I'm sure we all have an opinion on this.
Yeah.
Sure.
Jimmy, I think what you said is just true. Um, you have to be able to find the way to turn it into a strength and then make that a rallying cry to call people to you to work with you. And that works on either side of it.
And one last thing too, if you're a lawyer listening to this from Zillow or Compass and you're looking for someone to subpoena, it's going to be Jason Pantana.
My name is Matt Damon.
Not me or Tom, please. All
Oh,
right.
I love it. I love it. That could you read the line one more time in the letter? Because it reminds me of the marketing piece you did that around this home didn't sell. Same market, same price range,
Yeah.
different results. The difference, the details. Every time I present that, I love how punchy it is. What was Lourdes's line again?
Lourdes's line was it's a 3-point headline, which is, and by the way, marketing in threes is kind of an old tactic that works almost every time. Test the market, keep your privacy, stay in control. And she goes on to basically say, if you own a house in these areas, this is a moment to what a great line. Let me just read this for everybody real quick. If you own a home in these areas, she lists out areas, this is your moment to quietly test the market. No commitment, no listing required. Here's how we do it. Boom, 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 boom. Text me, here's my number, and then a QR code. $3.15 million listing, 11 conversations, probably another $10 million in listings on the back of that campaign. Now, she did something really smart, and this is why I like Lourdes so much. I mean, this is why I think we all respect Lourdes, and the reason why we all sort of point to her as a great coaching client that we reference is that, Tom, she didn't send to 300 people. She put her chips on black and just said, let's go. 4,700 doors on that. And because she's done the math on this stuff saying, listen, I just need 2 or 3 opportunities to make this thing get a 10x ROI, which by the way,
$4,700 for a, whatever percent commission of 3.1 million.
Yeah.
Sign me up.
And I think that's probably the last lesson we can give everyone today, which is related to what you started the pod off with this week, which is basically what's the theme for 2026 is like doubling down on your winners. If you want more production and more profit, what are the things you're doing right now? And can you invest more aggressively, more heavily with time, money, effort to get results like that? Shout out to Lourdes. And I love seeing wins like this.
Hey, and Jimmy, your old land and expand has perfect application here, man. So it's like if the postcard crushes, it should be a blog for AI answers. It should be a video.
Exactly.
It should be all these other things too, an email, because if it worked in one channel,
Geofence, advertising,
which goes back to Tom's quarterly plan and his weekly plan, which is get it. It's not about having 25 different ideas. It's one idea spread across 25 different channels.
Bingo.
So we'll end it with this, fellas. If you don't own the relationship with your database, someone else will. That's it. Whoever owns it's going to win the business. This was a fun show, guys. So, hey, this week is Thanksgiving. Whenever you're listening to this, my friend out there. By the way, will you put in the notes a topic or two you would like us to cover? A topic or two that you think we should do some research on, get some insights, and share it with you. Or you can DM us and do the same exact thing. But I'd love to see it in the comments. Fellas, have a wonderful Thanksgiving. Christmas at the Mackin house.
Apparently, Tom.
Wow.
This is something I can't even bring up as a conversation with my wife. This is happening. This is a solo. This is the executive decision by her.
The Ferries haven't even figured out if we bought a turkey yet, and you already have a Christmas tree and ornaments up. So I'm feeling
I did full
way
Clark
behind.
Griswold yesterday. We did it all.
All right, great to see you guys.
Right.
Episode
Fellas,
15.
appreciate you always. Thank you, and thank you, my friend, for listening. We love you. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving. If you're watching this, have a wonderful rest of the year. See you soon.